Awesome. Well, Roger, thank you so much for taking time for this. I really appreciate it. As we start, can you maybe talk a little bit about your title, what your position is, what you do?
Yeah, sure. And thanks for your time, Misha. I appreciate this opportunity. My name is Roger Caslow, and I'm the Chief Information Security Officer for the Hampton Roads Sanitation District. It's a large water, wastewater utility regional here in sunny Virginia Beach. We cover the entire eastern shore, as well as the majority of southeast Virginia as a political subdivision of the state of Virginia. So we do all the management through that area. Very large military base, industrial base, tourism, et cetera, et cetera.
I understand. Awesome. And how did you get into cybersecurity? Can you talk a little bit about your background?
Yeah, I took a circuitous route, and I'm not an IT professional. Meaning, I didn't come from, oh, you were doing help desk or you were doing network or those other things. Those, I want to call them more traditional routes to get here. I actually have a medical background.
Really?
I was a Navy Fleet Marine Force corpsman, active duty for a number of years. I ended up going to get my Master of Arts in Applied Economics. So I'm an economist, and I worked as an economist. And all these other things that I've done throughout my life, as an FMF corpsman, combat medic, I kind of know how to treat stress. I kind of understand how to delineate between what's important and what's not important, triage. Working within the economics field, of course, applied economics is all about risk management, risk assessment. All those things bleed into there. What got me into cybersecurity was I was working in the information operations space as an intelligence officer for the Defense Intelligence Agency. So there's another career path yet again, right? That opens up, right? Medical field and all the way through. Worked my way and became a intelligence officer for the Director of National Intelligence. And they needed someone to manage a risk management program there. Mm-hmm. Perfect, right? Do strategy, all those other things. Those things worked out very well. Ultimately, I took command and control of our penetration test team. They fell underneath me. All these other things fell within the space. Mm-hmm. Really, that was my first formal cybersecurity role, even though I had worked within it from the physical security side and the counterintelligence security side tangentially. That was really my first cybersecurity role to work into that space. So more or less on the risk management policy, GRC almost, but not quite pure GRC, while also having my hands in operations.
Amazing. So it's all those different perspectives that it kind of gives you a very unique viewpoint, I think. And from taking this into consideration for all those youngsters who are just kind of getting into the field of cybersecurity as a space, as you know, it's just growing leaps and bounds. There is a massive shortage, and I think a lot of people are considering this as a career choice for someone who's just getting in. What will be your advice? What to spend time on, what to focus on as they're kind of outside looking in?
Yeah, so I run into a lot of people who want to get in, and I encourage it. I encourage it as much as I also reinforce the fact that they have to have the passion for it. You don't want to get into it just because you think it's going to be a paycheck, number one, because you're going to hate it. You'll hate it. You'll end up working a SOC floor as a SOC analyst. You're entry level. You're coming in there if you're lucky, and you'll be working shift work, and ultimately your reputation, your career is on the line when it comes to not analyzing something properly, or you'll be fired. You're gone. You're out the door. It's not going to work. So I tell people, if you're going to come in, number one, don't worry about the education. I mean, look at me. I don't have that education. Granted, I took a crazy route to get to where I am. Mm-hmm. And this is my third time in the CISO chair. Have a passion for it. You have to find something you enjoy. And the good part about cybersecurity A good part about all of it in total is there's many different areas to go into, many different domains within our field, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anything from the SOC analyst, don't automatically assume you're going to go in and be a consultant, because consultancy takes more than a couple of days to understand the approach, what the technology stacks are, et cetera. I've told at Black Hat, I've told vendors, sales vendors, young ones, young salespeople, hey, listen, if you want bona fides and credentials at the table, get a Security Plus, and then you'll understand us a little bit better. Start to drink from our water a little bit more, so to speak, our water well. But if you're brand new and you want to get into it, military is a great route. If military is not for you, then go to school. But don't think that degree in cybersecurity is an automatic ticket to get in the door, unless the organization that's hiring you is basically a mill for that type of thing. And there are a number of organizations out there that are just basically mills. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you now, if you just came to my door without any experience and just a degree, I'm going to want to get to know you better to see if you actually have that fire in your belly that actually makes you want. You have to want to be the protector type, the defender type, the type that really likes to do this, the one who likes to peel back the layers of the onion to find out, investigate into the forensic space or whatever you're doing. Those types of attributes. It's the smartest person in the world without passion for this is useless to me. They're of no good to me. And no matter how smart they think they are, mm-hmm. no matter how book educated they are,
because they just want to be, it sounds like they just want to be able to sustain like an ongoing level of dedication if it's just knowing but without the passion, as you said.
Exactly. You have to embrace it. It doesn't have to consume every 24 hours, 365 days of your life, although some incidences will consume 24/7, at least for more than a couple of days of your life. Mm-hmm. And you have to be prepared for that as well.
Absolutely.
You have to be open for that.
Absolutely. It's thank you for sharing this. Well, from your vantage point, as you kind of look into the future, next 6 months, 12 months, what do you think will be the top 3 challenges facing CISOs kind of across the board?
Well, the first one is the same challenge that's faced us since day one, and that's the user. It's always the user. Whether it be an issue or a challenge, it's almost always the user is the challenge, and trying to figure out a way to mitigate their actions or educate them. You can't patch the user, right? I can refresh my hardware. I can patch my software. I can retire hardware and systems. I can retire users, but that's usually after the fact. But the user can't be patched. They can't be upgraded. So it's the user. So what we have to do is try to find ways to educate them. It doesn't mean overfishing, by the way, because overfishing makes them numb, or makes them too shy to actually do work. They get frozen. Mm-hmm. Finding that solution there, and that's the first one. The second one, I think, is it's noise reduction. It's noise reduction and actually a combination of noise reduction and focused collaboration. Like, for example, with the groups with Lafinia, that's a focused collaboration point. I'm a part of a few other groups and a board member on a few others as well. And I choose who I try to affiliate with because my time is critically a commodity I cannot procure more of, right? And to that point, we have to, reduce the noise of the information points that are coming at us, not only from groups and that collaboration effort, but also internally with what we're seeing from our threat intelligence and these other things. And while a good SOC analyst can do so much, really their seasoned eye of someone who's been doing it for, I'm at 20 years at least in cybersecurity now itself, is something that can't be ignored, because you look at things with a different lens and able to peel through a little bit easier that way.
So is it just like pattern recognition and filtering noise, signal and noise, and doing
it is. It really is that. But then But again, doing that noise reduction, but then the groups you collaborate with, you have to be selective in who you collaborate with. What's your value added of, right? For example, I have 5 groups and organizations I collaborate with. If the 6th one comes up, I have to value whether or not that 6th one is more important than the other 5 relationships I already have. Because I know I only have enough time for those 5.
Absolutely.
Right.
So that's,
and then the third one I was going to say is how are we going to build out smarter defenses? And by smarter defenses, I mean there are CISOs, God bless their souls, who come to the table and they drop all the solutions in the world because they came back from a conference, they talked to vendor XYZ, and they have all these solutions they drop on the desk that they want to implement. And then there are CISOs who try to do it in a very stepwise manner, the other side of that, to try to get things in place that make sense. So I say smart defense because depending upon the appetite of your organization, what they'll accept. Maybe some of them will accept that, dump a bunch of security solutions on a desk and implement those solutions and put those together. Maybe. I don't like that route, but that's okay. The other side is the stepwise, methodical, but not get frozen so much you don't make progress forward. So when I say smart defense is a challenge, it's balancing those things through. And again, these things aren't new. They're just things that I think we keep focusing on the flavor, the soup du jour, so to speak, right? Is ransomware. But in fact, it's just another malware, just with a different impact level, right? But had you done smart defense all along, smart hygiene all along, things like that are no longer an issue.
Yeah. No, I hear you. So ransomware is actually one that's coming up a lot. And another one is cloud security. A lot of organizations with work from home or moving to cloud is no longer an option. It's kind of the being pushed to do that. But it's interesting. Those are actually very interesting insights in terms of kind of what 3 things CISOs will face kind of in the near future. Now, kind of switching gears a little bit, if you were to start with the sentence with, you mentioned the kind of the several groups. If you were to say, I love Affinia because, what would that be? And then conversely, I wish Affinia could be this or do more of that. What would those kind of 2 statements be?
Well, I love Affinia because it actually does provide a proper forum for sharing and collaboration. The updates that are sent out have a lot of relevance to different sectors. It's not just a single sector. And while I'm in the utility sector, I have interest in other areas because I have worked in other areas, financial sector, healthcare sector. I think the only sector I haven't touched so far or ever will is retail. And that is just too much of a nightmare in my opinion. But too many endpoints you can't see, right? So that's part of it, but that really does open up and have those. And now there's no area in my opinion, and I know that to provide constructive feedback, right? Critical constructive feedback is a good thing, but in reality, I like Affinia the way it is, only because it fits into my other 4 that I'm with and how they do, right? You can't be an ISMG, a cyber ed board. I don't want you to be that, because then that's a competition space. You can't be a Gartner or a Forrester, although you provide a lot of areas of things and support and collaboration that way. You can't be an IAMS because, again, they're in that model too. So if Affinia accepts what it is today and runs with that the way it is today, I think it'll be fine, because it's fine. Don't be a horse wanting to be a zebra, right? Be a horse, be the best horse you can possibly be. And God only knows you can't be a horse wanting to be an elephant, because that's never going to happen. You could probably paint some stripes. If you're a white horse, you paint black stripes. You're a black horse, you paint white stripes. You can say, hey, look, I look like a zebra, but we all know you're not a zebra, but you're trying too hard. And Affinia doesn't try too hard in those areas. It focuses in my opinion, and from what I've seen, it focuses in on what is best for the group, what is best for its members, and what's best for its sponsors. And these things make sense. And that is success. To aspire to be something greater or different, I think it might mess with the recipe.
That I really appreciate your that's amazing feedback for us, because from kind of our perspective and kind of just kind of showing a little bit what's going on behind the curtain, we are, number one, we're trying not to contribute to noise because there's just too much of it. So we don't want to push more content, more webinars, more of anything. Like, we picked weekly cadence and it seems to be working fine. We don't want to switch to daily or hourly because it's just everyone is dealing with too much information with an overload. And as you said, attention span is the most critical resource. On the one side, on the other side, we want to make sure that we are relevant and continue to be relevant. So obviously, we're not trying to be like Gartner or Forrester, but we just want to, with the minimum chunk, want to create something that's continues to be relevant, continues to provide value to members, and as long as we're successful without overburdening the attention span and providing too much information, I think we'll be successful.
It's best, at least in my opinion, when we don't take the NASCAR approach to these groups and organizations. And by NASCAR approach, I mean living here in the South, Virginia, the Old Dominion. It's best, but NASCAR has a lot of bumping, right? You ain't in drafting and bumping and grinding, and sometimes it's best just to watch a nice smooth flow, and that way everyone can go in and work their way around it. Because the minute you start to try to say, you know what, IANS is doing this, as an example, they're an organization that has a lot of similar activity, or ISMG is doing this, or CyberEd is doing this, we should do that too. And now you've created up a conflict scenario where you won't be able to grow because people who are wedded to those organizations aren't going to jump onto the new guy because they're already comfortable with this person, right? And it creates conflict of time and conflict of, well, they're the same, so it gives me more value. And they immediately drop the one. But if the one is doing its thing and everybody like, you know what, it really fills the gap. You're filling the gap exceptionally well for myself. Mm-hmm. And I do believe if it's for someone like myself, I'd hope it'd be for others as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
No, thank you very much.
Excellent. Right. Last question. And if you don't have an answer for this, absolutely fine. Is there a kind of one vendor that kind of blew your mind last 6 months? Someone you want to do a shout out that you think others in your chair would appreciate knowing about? Maybe new, maybe startup, maybe someone who's known but who totally blew your way.
It depends. I say it depends if you're talking about my sector or overall in general. So I work in the industrial control space as well as the normal, I call it that was easy information technology space, right? So I have both business IT and operations IT. Operations is where we sit in the utility space, the manufacturing space, the heavy equipment space, transportation space, right? Power, water, oil and gas. If I go just to that and I ignore the ability to secure the cloud and all these other things that are okay, I'd say it's Dragos. Dragos is an industrial security control company organization that provides solutions. They provide, and Rob Lee is the CEO and founder over there. They provide solutions for industrial controls, monitoring, incident response, the whole stack, consulting, security engineering. They've really blown my mind in their customer approach because they're so engaged and they understand the criticality of what we call critical infrastructure and how we need to protect critical infrastructure in that way, right? So I'd say it's Dragos. If I were to go the normal, that was easy IT space, I love me some Cisco.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, Roger, thank you for your time.